AITA for telling my sister-in-law her baby's chosen name is literally the worst name I've ever heard. TLDR, they're naming their baby girl Alibi. Okay, so looking for outside judgment because I do feel bad about upsetting her still. Last weekend I joined a family Zoom call where my brother and Sil wanted to announce their new baby's name after spending nearly a month brainstorming. My parents and other siblings were also there along with their SOs. Anyways, they excitedly announced that my baby niece will be named Alibi, and pronounced exactly like you would the real word. Everyone's kind of in shock while they explained the process. Apparently my Sil was reading a book and randomly closed her eyes and pointed at a word on the page, hoping to find a possible name. That word was alibi. She said she forgot about it until she kept hearing that word pop up days after in different ways, in newspapers, on TV, on posters and on radio, etc. She then had a dream where her baby spoke to her and told her its name was Alibi. She said it sounded beautiful, exotic, mysterious and unique. They also said the name will have to be pronounced in full, e.g. no shortening to normal nicknames because it would take away from the uniqueness. So yes, it was literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard and I blurted out, "That's literally the worst name I've ever heard." Are you guys joking? Sil got really defensive and said that I don't have to like it, it's not my baby. I said yes of course, but Alibi is still objectively a terrible name for a human child. My siblings at this point all agree, but my Sil starts yelling and my parents calm us all down and tells us Alibi is a beautiful name for a baby. Long story short, my brother and parents want me to give a long apology to Sil, including a statement along the lines of, "I've changed my mind and think Alibi is actually a great name. I've apologized for upsetting her, but I refuse to do the latter and am currently fighting them on it. I still think that name shouldn't even be legal as a person's name. AITA for still fighting this?" Reply: she kept seeing it and hearing it. Was she watching crime shows? Because that's the only way she would keep hearing it. Alibi is a terrible name for a child. You've apologized for hurting her feelings, that's all you can do. NTA. Reply: there's bad names that are just awkward or stupid, but in this case the name would probably lock that kid out of entire industries of work. Ah yes, this is my tax accountant, Alibi. Wait, why am I being audited? Reply: I'd be surprised if she didn't change her name the second she turns 18. Imagine the bullying the poor thing will have to endure, along with her parents telling her that the other kids are just jealous of her unique and special name. Editor's comment: these moronic parents need to understand they are toying with their kid's life. Your freaking child is not a medium for your creativity and personal expression. What the hell is wrong with Amanda or Michael as a first name? Jesus. AITA for walling off my backyard because I dislike 2 kids and depriving everyone else as a result. I sure feel like Ta, but I don't think I am, so help me out here. I live in a non-English speaking European country, and because of history that means land borders between properties are sometimes very weird. Well, that is the case with my house and the neighbors. All our houses are about the same size, yet out of all the land behind our houses my area is huge. I own like 90% of all land there, reaching all the way to the woods far behind our houses. Meanwhile all my neighbors essentially got tiny strip right behind their houses. Now the part right behind my house is fenced off, yet the rest is pretty much open, and my wife and daughters like to use it for gardening. The field is used by most of the neighborhood boys to play football on, as it is the only flat piece of grassland around. They always ask for permission to use it beforehand, and I always allow it on the condition I get no complaints if I tell them to leave and they don't litter. I also recently had a pool installed to the far back of my property and fenced it off. This is important later. Well, this is where the issue starts. Recently a new family moved in and they seem to think it is public land. I kept catching their kids running around through the flowers and vegetable garden, and they even moved their grill on the field and held a picnic on my land. I keep telling them off and informing it is my land, but they just ignore me, and the kids sometimes won't leave when I tell them to. A month ago the kids even climbed over the fence around the pool, and when I got them out and went to their parents they just said, "Oh, we figured it was a public pool." I had hoped that was the end of it, yet these people built a fire pit in the 3 days I was away from my house, and when I got back I found it with a bunch of empty beer cans around. That was the last straw for me, and I hired a company owned by a buddy of mine from when I used to do construction work, bought all the supplies, and 7 days later and a lot of money later my entire property was walled off, and whenever anyone asked I told them why I was doing that and who they could thank for it. Well, now the new family is treated as if they are a pest and all the neighborhood kids are gutted they lost their football field, which has resulted in them picking on the new neighbor's kids. I honestly feel pretty terrible, but I also feel like I gave them plenty of warnings before taking drastic actions. AITA for refusing to go out in public with my wife when she won't wear a bra. I've been married for almost 20 years. Lately my wife has started to go out in public braless. She'll wear a t-shirt and it leaves almost nothing to the imagination. She complains that it's not comfortable to wear a bra and it's too hot outside. I don't care if she goes bra-less in the house, but out in public is a different story. Most people don't want to see a middle-aged woman's breasts bouncing around in a store. The ones who do are looking at her in a sexual manner. I'm embarrassed to be seen with her bra free. I'm constantly worried that I'm going to run into people I know. She's spent her whole life wearing a bra in public and never had a problem before. Last weekend we went to Walmart and it was obvious the cashier was staring at her. I don't like the idea of people getting their jollies from staring at my wife's boobs. I told her I won't go out in public with her anymore if she doesn't wear a bra. It would be more comfortable for me to wear my underwear in public too, but there's social etiquette. She believes it's her body and her right to not wear a bra. I think it's selfish. I don't see how wearing a bra can be that uncomfortable. Almost all women wear bras in public. TLDR, lately wife refuses to wear bra in public. I refuse to be seen in public with her if she doesn't. AITA for not wanting to see my mother with her husband there and not letting my kids see him either. Okay, so for clarification, my parents had been married for 40 years but unhappy for at least 10. My mother spends 10 months of the year at her caravan home and 2 months of the year at home where my father still lives. 3 years ago they agreed to start seeing other people, officially ending their relationship but still keeping the same living arrangements. About 18 months ago my mother met a man she calls Mr. Spain, as he claimed to have a few apartments in Spain that he let out as well as a property nearby that he rented out, so was fairly well off. They apparently fell immediately in love and wanted to get married, so my mother rushed a divorce through with my father and married this man a month later. Had known each other about 6 months at this point. We were still talking at this point, and although I was apprehensive about this man, we all did our best to accept him into our lives. A few months later it all turned out to be lies. He had no apartments in Spain, no other house, he had some money from a family inheritance, but many other lies were unearthed. My mother was heartbroken and I helped her file for annulment. He seemed to accept but asked my mother to pay him back for the gifts he had bought for our family, over £10,000 total, but they were gifts he gave of his own choice. Before the annulment could be completed, lockdown hit us and she was told it wouldn't be able to be processed until the courts reopened. During this time she started talking to him again. Fast forward a few months and he's wormed his way back into her life. She wants to cancel the annulment and continue her life with him. I've told her I don't want to not see her or her not to see the kids, but I don't want my family anywhere near him and I don't trust him. Apparently I'm a heartless asshole who won't accept her choices, but I think I'm not being unreasonable wanting to keep our distance. Reply, NTA. He sounds creepy, a con artist at best. You have every right not to want your family near him. Reiterate to her that she is welcome at any time and you and your family would love to get together with her only. Reply, agreed. This has Dirty John vibes hardcore. AITA for waking my naked sister up. My sister likes to go skinny dipping and then sunbathe nude at our pool. I am her brother. She always warns me and the family so we don't go out there when she does that. I invited my friend over to go swimming with me at 2 p.m. I told my sister this. She went out to skinny dip anyway and said she would be done by 1. We were the only 2 people home. Well, 1:55 comes around and my sister has not come back inside yet. I call her only to hear her phone ring inside upstairs. I figure she had fallen asleep sunbathing, so I went outside. Sure enough, she had fallen asleep sunbathing, so I woke her up and said my friend will be here any minute. She screamed at me that she's naked and to leave her alone. I went inside. She went inside a few minutes later. Now she is mad at me for waking her up because it means I went outside to her knowing she would be naked. Reply, NTA. Y'all are more tolerant of this than I would be already. She needs to monopolize your pool for hours all the time because she doesn't want to put a swimsuit on. That's obnoxious AF. Reply, also, this sounds like the beginning of a movie I watched the other day. NTA reply, step bro. I told you not to come over here while I'm asleep and totally naked. Reply. Stepsister, why are your hands glued to the table? Reply. Stepbro, I'm stuck in the dryer, can you help me get out?